I am Bharat Ma, the mother of the great land of Bharat, also called India. For centuries, I have been a silent witness to everything that happens on my lap and bear the footprints of each one of my children. To me, all my children are precious. But in the deep corners of my heart are some special ones, the gems, whose footprints I want to treasure for eternity. Even though they are not duty-bound to do so, their love for me touches me at the very core of my being. This is one such love story between a mother and her child, one of the gems who came to light up the lives of many. Fondly and respectfully called Anna, meaning elder brother, his given name was Madiyal Narayan Bhatt. Madiyal Narayan Bhatt was born in a wealthy family to Sri Timmayya Bhatt and Srimati Gauramma, a devout couple in a small hamlet called Madiyala under Alike Panchayat in the southern state of Karnataka. Growing among three sisters, Narayana was the second child and the family's favourite. He started his formal education at the age of 7. His first impression of his primary school in Alike was one of disappointment, as the school was much smaller than his palatial home. But he never complained. He spent 3 years at this primary school. He was also initiated into spiritual studies at a very young age. It was during the religious ceremony called the Upanayanam that some inner thoughts of Narayana surfaced. When the priest was explaining about the Hindu ceremony where a sacred thread is worn across the shoulder till such time one gets married, young Narayana asked the priest who should he hand the sacred thread over to if he decided not to marry. This question from young Narayana went unanswered. His family members did not realize then, but it was evident that young Narayana had a different view and probably had started paying attention to the whisperings of his heart about his life's purpose. As Narayana advanced in his education, his schooling again moved him to another town, Puttur, in the state. This time, he had to stay in the school hostel, which was a new experience for him. He missed living with his family and started to write to his sisters regularly. He was a reticent boy and often kept to himself. His health was not at its prime, and he became a silent victim of mockery and ridicule by his classmates. This affected Narayana, who decided not to return to school once his exams were over.
I do dimly perceive.
The year was 1941. Freedom struggle had gained momentum across the country. The name of Mahatma Gandhi was lingering on everyone's heart, and his clarion call, "Do or die," was ringing in every ear. Mahatma Gandhi and his ideals made their way into Narayana's heart. He could hear his inner voice calling him to serve his country, but he didn't know how. So he started leading a simplistic life and started spinning and weaving khadi. There were glimpses of idealism and patriotism in Narayana as he took very keen interest in reading the life stories and teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, Swami Vivekananda, among several spiritual leaders and patriots. School break soon got over, and it was time to return to the school and hostel. Seeing that his return was inevitable, Narayana returned with an awakened inner strength, vigor, and confidence. The metamorphosis had begun. It was a different Narayana. He had become more confident and started making friends, resolved conflicts, and shared friendly advice with them. His latent talents came to limelight when he became an active participant in debates and in public speaking. Narayana was greatly influenced by his headmaster, Sri Raman Nambiyar, who used to talk on how to improve one's reasoning faculty, develop willpower, etc. He was very impressed by the teaching profession and was convinced that the teacher's profession was the best of all professions, as a teacher had ample opportunity to mold the students on the right path and make them noble citizens and able leaders. The year was 1942. The Quit India movement gained momentum in the country, and like others, Narayana too wished to participate in the movement. The headmaster, Sri Nambiar, advised Narayana and others to complete their education first, as that would prove to be the most important tool needed when taking on the task of nation building in the future. Narayana's love for reading intensified, and one could always find him in the school library or reading rooms. He shared whatever he read with some close friends. 2 books, Atma Shaktiya Tejasu, which translates to the power and splendor of Atma, and Brahmacharyave Jivana, Virya Nashave Mrityu, which translates to celibacy is life, wasting vital energy is death, inspired him and his close friends and kindled in them an intense urge to lead a pure life based on lofty ideals. Little did Narayana know that he was yet to meet the one book that would act as the biggest catalyst on his onward journey. The book was Prema Rajya, which translates to Kingdom of Love. It was about the principle of pure, selfless love for the progress of the entire humanity and the qualities of an ideal teacher and the relationship that should be fostered between a teacher and students. He understood that the lack of good education and ideal educators were the prime reasons for abject poverty in the country. And it could be alleviated by fostering values-based education that would enlighten the head as well as transform the hearts of students. It was then that an event took place that paralyzed the nation. It was the brutal assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. This event rattled Narayana. He cried incessantly for days. Soon, Narayana joined a Christian missionary college, St. Aloysius in Mangalore, in the pre-university program. The dedication of Christian missionaries towards love and service motivated him further. Seeing that Narayana was doing very well in academics, his parents had a desire to see him study either engineering or medicine, but then realized that their son was nurturing an earnest longing to become a teacher and to be of service to the country. Narayana became aware that it takes a lot more than just weaving and wearing khadi to live Mahatma Gandhi's ideals. He realized that the change should begin with him and that he must transform himself before trying to guide others. This thought became an obsession with Narayana. He started contemplating on his own thoughts, words, and actions and gravitated towards yoga and meditation. Narayana was quite young when he started dreaming about a mighty organization where people were willing to sacrifice their own self-centered desires and serve the needy in the society. He made a firm resolve to remain a celibate to achieve this goal. He met his friends regularly and discussed several topics. They called themselves Mitra Vrinda, which means friend circle. Narayana's parents were still hopeful that he would change his mind about his choice of profession upon his graduation. They were in for a disappointment as Narayana told them that he wishes to pursue another degree in teacher's training in Madras, which is present-day Chennai. The day that Narayana had to leave for Madras arrived as an uninvited guest for the family. The house wore a pensive look and reflected what was going through the minds and hearts of Narayana's family members. The training program had barely started when Narayana received the news about his father, who had become very ill. Soon, he was homebound only to see that his father had passed away. His grief gave way to copious tears at the loss of his father. He knew that as a son, his duty was to be by the side of his mother. But Narayana's heart was already tuned into the clarion call of his motherland, and he dauntlessly made the decision to go back to complete his teacher's training. Narayana wrote several letters to his mother and sister, through which he spoke his heart out about his mission and comforted them with words of courage and instilled confidence that he would never neglect their welfare. They finally understood his mission, his steadfastness, and his lofty ideologies. Narayana was only 23 when he was asked to head a school called Vitthal High School. Young and charismatic Narayana went about integrating human values in formal curriculum and was determined not to limit education only to academics. He taught moral and spiritual education with a lot of passion. This continued for 4 years. An incident in the life of Narayana that lets us take a peek of his love towards his students was when he averted a catastrophic situation in school. A student who had lost an election as a student leader out of spite for his opponent had brought a knife with the intention of stabbing his opponent in the school premises. When this came to Narayana's attention, he made the student see the consequence if he had carried out the dastardly act. The student who had anticipated stringent punishment and even a possible expulsion was taken aback by the compassionate attitude of Anna. He asked for forgiveness and made peace with his opponent. I could see the sculptor in young Narayana who had the ability to chisel away undesirable traits and bring forth the innate goodness in man. Meanwhile, the youth were drawn to Narayana like bees to honey. His dream of starting a mighty organization in service of the nation seemed more and more plausible. His illuminating talks and magnetism were like elixir to many who found encouragement and hope after meeting him. A book authored by him, Viratha Rupada Bharatiya Missionary Samsthe, which translates to a mighty Indian missionary organization, served as a guidepost to many young men. Soon, a thinkers' forum, Tattva Samiksha, came into existence that served as a platform for exchange of ideas. All the right stars were aligned perfectly for Narayana to embark on what he called ceaseless action for the betterment of society. With unbridled enthusiasm and passion, Narayana studied the bylaws of various institutions and sought legal advice. He wrote down the various clauses and guidelines to start an organization by name Loka Seva Vrinda, that means organization to serve the world. Little did he, or for that matter anyone, know the gigantic proportions it was going to assume. December 7th, 1960 was the ordained day for the inauguration of the organization. Atma Kalyana, Loka Kalyana, emancipation of the soul and welfare of humanity became its motto. Anna prepared the blueprint and laid down the 10-fold principles for the members to follow. Justice, honesty, dutifulness, discipline, humility, cleanliness, selfless service, fearlessness, patriotism, and spirituality. Shramadhan or Shrama Seva, which translates to labor of love, was the first service of Loka Seva Vrinda. The years 1961 and 1962 seemed to be divinely ordained for Narayana as it brought him into Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba's fold. He was convinced that Bhagavan was none other than the Almighty. From then on, Narayana fervently sought the Divine Master's guidance and blessings, and he began to do everything as an offering to him. The following months unveiled Narayana's deep-rooted desire to start a school in Alike in Karnataka that imparted values-based education. The catalyst was a letter from one of Narayana's well-wishers that drove Narayana's selfless aspiration forward. Narayana's mother, Srimati Gauramma, handed over the primary school in Alike with all its mobile and immobile properties to Loka Seva Vrinda, making June 6, 1963 the most memorable day for the entire village of Alike. Joining in this mission was his mother and sister. Work started with the setting up of the necessary infrastructure. Seeing Narayana's love and dedication towards the cause of nation building, accolades came in from eminent personalities, including those in politics. When a minister from Karnataka urged Anna to enter politics, he declined politely, saying there were enough people to become politicians, but there was no one to do the kind of work that he had undertaken. It was quite evident that here was a man born with a purpose, and more importantly, not losing sight of the purpose. Narayana chartered his life on the lines of seva and sadhana, that is dedication to service and devotion to the Almighty. He would spend sleepless nights agonizing over the state of his countrymen, whom he considered as his own brothers and sisters. No wonder everyone called him Anna. Meanwhile, Lokaseva Vrinda climbed several rungs up the ladder with the inauguration of the Lokaseva Junior College in Alike. Aspirations arose in the residents of Chikballapur district, also in Karnataka, to have a similar educational institution like the one in Alike. They wanted Narayana to lead the way. A hamlet called Muddenhalli was zeroed in with the blessings of Bhagwan Baba, and the construction of the school building in Muddenhalli started in 1972. The journey was laden with hard work and called for perseverance, but the members of Lokaseva Vrinda ploughed on. Energizing them was one prayer suffused with devotion to Bhagwan Baba. It was Hrudayada Hambala, which means yearning of the heart, written by Narayana.
Satyavu Nityavu Adantha Jeevanava ನಡೆಸುವ ಶಕುತಿಯನು ಯಮಗೆ ನೀಡು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಮನದಂತರಾಳದೋಳು.
Amidst these activities, the writer, poet and orator Narayana did not lie dormant. He authored several books, 70 or more poems in a compilation called Bhavanjali. December 31st, 1976. It was another milestone in the life of Narayana and in the history of Lokaseva Vrinda when a resolution was passed to offer the organization and the educational centers to Bhagwan Baba in an act of dedication and surrender. Narayana humbly made the offer to Baba in a letter. Baba graciously accepted this prayer on Jan 6, 1977. Narayana knew that Lokaseva Vrinda's foundation was cemented further with divine grace. Baba told Narayana, "The mission for which you have come is over. You may go now. I will take care of the rest." Jan 8, 1977. It was a day that shook the core of everyone who had known Narayana. Little did anyone imagine that the light of Alike and Muddenhalli would be extinguished tragically and in the most unexpected manner. It seemed as if the sun had set, never to rise again. Narayana's departure from the earthly realm brought on inconsolable grief to his loved ones. It was only with the outpouring of immense love and soothing words from Baba that they regained composure. Bhagwan Baba consoled Narayana's mother and told her that the light had not extinguished but had become one with him. When she asked what would happen to Narayana's dream of a mighty organization, Bhagwan Baba assured her that Narayana's vision would be fulfilled and the Tyagajeevis in the organization would not be 60 or 600 but will multiply to become 60,000. Following the official announcement about the induction of Lokaseva Vrinda on Bhagwan Baba's birthday on 23rd November 1977, Bhagwan Baba formally took over the organization and renamed it Sri Satya Sai Lokaseva Trust in the Satya Sai Grama, Muddenhalli on August 14th, 1978. Narayana's dream now rested lovingly on Baba's divine shoulders. The campuses continued to grow under the guidance of Bhagwan Baba, who made several visits through the years to the campuses to bestow his grace on the highly dedicated Tyagajeevis and students. In keeping with the vision of Narayan Bhatt, these two campuses, nestling on spiritual incubators, year after year, steadily started molding the students into ideal citizens of the nation while imparting values-based education totally free of cost. 3 decades later, April 2011, the most magnificent form of Bhagwan Baba took to the formless. I started to wonder, Would Narayana's dream come true? I remembered what Narayana Bhatt wrote in 1972.
Truly, we are attempting a historic task. The potential of what we do is stupendous. I want brilliant, selfless, sincere, humble and patriotic youth in large numbers to keep the lamps of illumination burning. Even if I fail and you too do not succeed in this great task, it will still be a magnificent effort worthy of great heroes, and the lost threads will be taken up by some other hero. My ideals, my writings will be picked up from the archives and someone will start fresh.
The year was 2012. This was when I saw footprints that were very similar to those of Narayan Bhatt, only this time on a larger playground. From then on, several educational institutions started sprouting across Karnataka to provide teaching in all aspects of human life to both male and female students free of cost. Winds of change were set in motion, and a paradigm shift in the field of education was underway. In June 2018, a star illumined the skies over Gulbarga in North Karnataka. Its appearance foretold the bright future of Bharat with the opening of the Sri Satya Sai University for Human Excellence. This education system, steeped in spiritual wisdom with a twofold aim of self-realization and service for the welfare of the world, was paving the way for students to become visionaries and leaders of a new age in a new world order. I witnessed Narayana ride every crest and trough of life with grace. He faced many trials and tribulations, including a vicious and brutal assault on him. It was a day of deep agony for me, which I don't wish to recall. But what I wish to share is years later, when the man who had assaulted Narayana wanted his son to be admitted in the school in Alike, Narayana was magnanimous enough to give admission to his son. I was astonished to see Narayana's grace and forgiving attitude. Such was his personality, a synthesis of rare sterling qualities emanating from the head, heart and hands. Now do you all know why I consider Narayana to be a gem, one of the crest jewels of this nation? Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the late President of India, said, "A dream is not something you see in sleep, but it is that which does not let you sleep." Narayan Bhatt's life reflected this thought. His dream of a mighty missionary organization that would work to wake up the country is now being fulfilled by Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba from a realm beyond human comprehension. I was there when the seed was planted. I saw it germinate to become a strong tree that will not be swayed by the strongest of winds. Under its shade sit thousands of Narayan Bhatts, the beneficiaries from the acts of one man, Sri Madiyal Narayan Bhatt. The divine effulgent light never burns out. It only burns on. His mission continues.